Hey, so I want to thank everybody for the amazing questions that you posted on the website. It's giving me a great idea of what's going on for folks, what they want answers to, and to be able to really focus the actor's arsenal. And I just wanted to share with you why I started doing this, because I feel like so many actors feel absolutely powerless. And really, the product that you're selling is you. You have all of the power. We live in the age of the internet. For the first time, people can write a blog, like the Seven Faces of Tara started out as a blog, and eventually get an offer from a network to make a show. We can make web series like Issa Rae did and get deals from studios. You know, for the first time ever, the internet has given us the power to really control our careers, decide what kind of work we're going to do, because we can write it ourselves. We know emotionally what we're drawn to. We can pick those roles, produce it, put it on its feet, get a camera, and go. You can do the same thing with your acting career. And this is something nobody told me in graduate school. I had no idea how I was going to survive. I had no real training in the world of acting that I was entering. I knew how to listen and respond. I knew theater history. I knew the Meisner technique. I had amazing actor training. But we live in an industry where now there's a Netflix and people are soon going to be watching television only on the internet. There are all kinds of different ways to enter the acting game. And you've got to be prepared to audition for all of those ways and eventually to book the job in all of those ways. So if your teachers haven't worked in the industry in 30 years, they can't tell you something as simple as there's a difference between single cam acting, like 30 Rock or The Office, as opposed to multicam half hour, like The Big Bang Theory or Rock, or any of the half hours that have a more traditional multi-camera setup. The acting is much more like theater. You make strong physical choices. It's important to really drive the language. Whereas in single cam, you're really kind of throwing that away like a documentary. And then the punchline is almost in your subtext or what's going on subconsciously for you. I had no idea how to audition for those two different things. All right? My teachers couldn't tell me either because it didn't exist. Type didn't exist. I was told to buy hair and stop eating. That was essentially the professional advice that I got coming out of graduate school. Well, the first job I booked, the director asked me if I would wear my own hair and take the weave out that everyone at my school had told me to get. I was like, you could have saved me $500. Well, he gave me this big aha moment. Most of the black women working, and commercially at least, have natural hair right now. If you want to do something primetime episodic, buy a wig. But if you're going in for theater, or you're going in for a commercial, which is a lot of money, people have natural hair. No one knew to tell me that. So I stumbled around in the dark for 10 years, sort of learning by trial and error and showing up at auditions, doing the wrong things, even though I could act. And it wasn't until I started writing and producing film and theater for myself that I really learned what the other side of the table was. And I was able to better inform my manager and my agent. Sure, you can sell my type, but I'm a character actor that transforms, so you need to submit me from women anywhere from 30 to 55. Because I can play that, especially if it's a woman fighting for justice or a woman who's so in love with fighting for other people that she can't fight for herself. That's an emotional cord of mine. Once I told my manager and my agent that, they knew how to sell me. It meant that I started booking more work, which was right in line with my emotional cords, right? It was at the center of my range. And the first person to give me the idea that this is a really important thing to know, to tell your agents, was an old agent of mine who had represented Danny Glover. And the breakdown had gone out, this was a long time ago, for the Lethal Weapon franchise. They were looking for the buddy for Mel Gibson's character, who was sort of off the wall, and you needed a kind of wise sage that would go along with Mel's outrageous assumptions. And that role was originally written for a woman, Renee Rousseau, as a matter of fact. And my old manager pitched to the studio Danny Glover because he said the breakdown of the character, how they're built emotionally, how they play off of Mel Gibson's character is just like this great black guy I know who's a client of mine, and he would be great. Just give him a shot, and the rest is history. And that's because that manager sold his client based on his emotional type. That idea was something that it took me a good 10 years to learn how to talk to my agents about. But until I did, I never booked on camera work, ever. And that's crappy because this outside of who you are, that's going to change every 10 years, right? What people are buying physically is going to change every 10 years too. But emotionally, what you play, that is going to be there forever. Your emotional type will ensure that you will have a career that lasts forever. And so these are sort of things that I'm beginning to sort of jot down into a book, into a class. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. But what I am sure is that I want to begin to make a product that serves my artistic community. People that I work with, people that I've hired as actors, people that I've acted with, people who I want to become producers of their own work. Because I found how rewarding it was in my career. And I was not able to produce my own work until I learned how to manage my career as an actor. And the first thing is directly related to Angela's question about she's moved to LA and she has a new set of agents who have not seen her work, but they're very enthusiastic about her, right? They can see a reel, sure, that's great. That'll give them an idea of one or two different kinds of characters. She could certainly go in, and I'm speaking directly to you, Angela, because you're amazing. And I recently cast Angela in my new play. So I know she's an amazing actress, and she can do a lot of things, right? To really get at a sense of that is going to require a conversation with her agents, and a continual conversation. My suggestion, because I have signed with new agents in the last 3 years, is first of all, it's so important that they see your work. I insisted on doing monologues for my agents in the office, even though they'd seen me in something and it wasn't necessary. I wanted them to see what I did best, which was transform into characters who are fighting the world for their children, right? I transformed into 6 or 7 different characters for them. That's my strong suit, right? That's the center of my emotional chords. Once I got that, they were like, oh, well, we can submit you for the community activists in the Bronx on Blue Bloods. I know they're advertising for a Chinese guy in his 50s, but what he's fighting for is right up your alley. I booked that job, right? But it was a long time of continual conversations with my agents about emotional type. And I work with a lot of my clients on an exercise called the Headshot Center of Range. And I'm going to write more about it and start blogging about it so you guys can get a sense of it. What it lets you do is begin to map out for yourself what you're good at, what's close to your emotional range. And you start by watching 20 movies that you love and scenes in those movies that you love, and write down a list of those scenes and what's really going on emotionally for that character that makes you so drawn to that scene, right? Is it a scene from Rocky where he talks about his dream and then he makes it happen? If you have a bunch of scenes like that, that means you are closely related to the underdog when all the chips are stacked against him and he still believes no matter what. That's a true emotional chord, right? That's something you can say to your agents. That's what I play. Watch me. Read the breakdown of all these characters. And when you see a character who fights like that, submit me for them. I don't care if it's not the right age, the right race. I get them, and I will resonate so closely to the emotional life of that character that it will impact the director or the writer who's casting that, because that was their intent in writing that character. Those kinds of conversations with your agent are incredibly important. But first, you have to do your work and do that research. So watch 20 movies to start, right? And you'll begin to see some of the same similar chords coming up over and over and over again. And you should come up with 3 key sentences, right? And look beyond just movies. Look at television. Look at half hour. Look at plays. Listen to music. Watch videos. There is going to be a character dealing with a particular emotional challenge that moves you deeply over and over and over again, right? The woman who doesn't feel like she deserves love. So she's surprised and misses it most of the time when it shows up. That's an emotional type. And once you get those 3 key sentences, you are well on your way to having a really productive conversation with your agents. The second piece, once you have those 3 sentences, is to make sure that all of the marketing material you have screams that one thing. Yes, I'm the bohemian smart girl always fighting for justice. All of my headshots, vivid, emerald colors, funky hair, right? Strong power colors, magentas and purples and bright blues. There's no baby blue or gray on my website because emotionally, that's not what I sell, right? When I walk in the room, you get this bubbly bohemian with lots of opinions, right? Who's smart. She's not gonna be the ghetto girl from around the corner. She's kind of arty. She's probably a professor. That is branding. So all of my marketing materials, which are your website, your IMDb page, your headshot, your resume, your reel, your Facebook page, your YouTube channel, where your reel is going to be, you need to pick some colors that are associated with your emotional type, right? Pick power colors if power is what you lead with, right? The shy, quiet girl with lots of strong opinions but leads with that velvet glove. Some softer blues and taupes, right? So make the colors of your brand say the same consistent message about what you're selling, which is your emotional type, which is you. The juicy parts of you, the fears, the places where you're afraid that people will find out you're a fraud, the places where you don't feel good enough. Those places are where your vulnerabilities are, and what make you interesting, and those are the things that make you daring as an artist. You're daring to show us that. That's incredibly brave, and it draws people to you. That emotional type, that consistent message. It's in the color of all your press materials. It's in the presentation of your clothing. I'm wearing a vivid blue. You'd never find me in powder blue. I just don't do powder blue. I have a big, juicy, bright blue personality, right? Look at my headshots and my resumes. They all look that. They all scream a consistent message. So finding a color palette that also communicates who you are emotionally is also incredibly important. Kerry Washington always leads with a very elegant, neutral palette. If she goes bright, it's pale and it's springtimey colors. She's sending you elegant young lady, right? I'm a young lawyer. I believe in doing things right. I believe in being in control and having power and not too flashy. But what makes me noticeable is that I am a bastion of power, right? Every time you see her on the cover of a magazine at an opening, she's screaming her brand over and over again. That is something that you need to do in your materials. When you meet with your agent, you're going to come in with your own press kit, which means you're going to have a DVD of your reel. And if you don't have a reel, you're going to make one. And if money is concerned, make it a really great audition, right? With a blue screen behind you. You should have a reel, you should have a headshot and a resume. And your headshot needs to communicate those 3 phrases that we talked about. Your headshot needs to show me those 3 faces of Eve, who you are emotionally. A great headshot communicates an acting moment. It's not just pretty. You're an actor. It's a given you're pretty. What sets you apart from the next person? You should have 3 or 4 headshots that reflect those emotional chords that you've determined for yourself. Then you need a 1-page. A 1-page is a marketing term for a 1-page document. It has 5 sentences. Those 5 sentences are either great sentences from reviews of your work, or quotes from teachers or casting directors or directors that you've worked with. They are 5 quotes that say, "You are the bomb," by people in the industry. That's your 1-page. And then the final piece that needs to be in there is your industry contact sheet. And here's where some of your own research needs to happen, is that in that industry contact sheet, you're going to look at, in the new marketplace that you're in, Angela, what shows are you great for? Write down a list of those casting directors. Your first goal with your agents is to say, I've not met these people. I need a general, I need to get called in. They need to see my work. And can we send them a press kit? That's something you can talk about with them, right? You can also talk to them about these emotional types. And when you meet with each agent, bring this press kit. It has your industry contact list of everybody you have met in the industry. And then you should have a side list that says everybody you need to meet. And within that industry contact list, I would say everybody who knows your work, and then put a category of people who've actually cast you, right? So your agents know who to target. You are giving them all of this ammunition so they can fight for you. Took me a long time to figure this stuff out. This is what I want to teach you. So I'm going to come back with a few more videos, and the next one we're going to talk about is self-producing artists. How you raise money, first of all, to afford all the things you need for your arsenal before you even get out here, right? How to get a survival job, audition clothes, outfits, the headshot, and how do we raise money for that? First off, right? And then second off, if we want to make something of our own, how do we go about that if we've never produced anything? That's what I'm going to talk about in the next video. I would love for you to continue sharing your comments with me on the blog. I will, in this e-newsletter, I'll send you a link where you can ask some more questions about this video and give me some more feedback. And I will continue to shape this manual that will be coming out in the next few weeks. It'll be a combination of podcasts and an ebook and some videos and a series of calls with me. What that will end up being is totally dependent on the feedback that you guys give me. I want to make something that will be an ongoing sort of power call that can serve your needs. I'll do the research, you come up with the questions. And I think that's all I have. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. And I'm going to sign off, and I'll talk to you soon. Please send me your questions. Take care. Bye-bye.